And we are live. This is episode 355 of the Find My Catalyst podcast. And if you are new to the podcast, know that our focus is on helping you find your catalyst, that nudge to help you take the next step and start doing the things you were meant to do or solving the problems that you're currently struggling with. And I'm really excited to announce a program that we're kicking off. We do this each year. This year, we're going to do the program slightly differently. Uh, we're announcing the program around how to help people get their next year off to a great start. And we're going to kick this off with two distinct cohorts starting on the 1st of November. Now, if you can't join in on the 1st of November, it's okay. You can join in a little bit late and catch up. It's this 45-day period where you'll have access to weekly um, weekly office sessions where you'll be able to interact with me and interact with other people who are part of the program. We're going to distinguish the two cohorts. We've done multiple cohorts before. We're going to distinguish the two cohorts by splitting them up into those people who are focused on building out their individual plan for 2024 versus those who are working on building out their business plan for 2024. And there are some distinct differences when you think about business planning versus versus planning for self at an individual level. Why do we do this? And there are a number of people out there, and I did this poll on LinkedIn and also did one on Twitter, which was kind of interesting. On LinkedIn, most people had already started their 2024 planning. On Twitter, a number of people had not started their 2024 planning. So it's kind of interesting to see the difference in the audiences that we attract in both of those platforms. Is a subset of people out there who push off 2024 planning to that small period between Christmas and New Year's. And sometimes, if we're honest with each other, we let that leak out a little bit past New Year's. Some people get all excited about the new year and turning a page. And the reality is that's just a date that exists out in time and space. And we can start turning those pages now. And to lean on the the Chinese proverb, when is the best time to plant a tree? Well, it would have been 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant that tree? Today. Let's get the tree planted to start building that shade. So the 2024 or 45 days to kickstart 2024 program will launch on November 1st. And the problems that we're going to solve for in this program are, number one, clarity. How do you gain clarity around the specific things that you're looking to do over a given period of time? Things that you might want to get done in that first quarter, things you might want to get done in the first half, things that you might want to get done by the end of the year. So, clarity around what our objectives are. We'll get into strategy. How do we build our strategy to align directly with those specific objectives so that we can organize our time properly and get really comfortable with saying no to the things that are not aligned? And then tactics. What's the specific work that we're going to organize under each of those strategies to help get us closer to the goal? Because we know that with some of these longer term goals, it's not a matter of just do this and then magic happens. There's a process. There's some iteration that has to happen. There's some reflection that has to happen. There's some adaptation to the process that needs to happen. Because sometimes our plans don't work out the way we expect them to. And if there's one person who said this really well, I think it originated from Custom Auto. Mike Tyson gets the credit for this one, but it's everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And yeah, you know what? Sometimes we just get punched in the mouth. So over the 45-day period, there'll be weekly office hours. You'll have access to the asynchronous version of the game plan course. And at any point in time, you can take advantage of a 45-minute coaching call with me to work things directly. Just to be clear, I'll be there to help you work through the process. Some of the typical feedback that I get from folks who have had a chance to work with me directly is it's amazing how Mike is able to connect the dots. It's after having the conversation, this kind of fog or veil gets lifted off. Mike has an ability to create, to simplify things and create clarity. I love whiteboarding sessions with Mike. Those are just some of the quotes and comments that we get from folks who've had a chance to go through some of these programs. Why did we go with 45 days this time? Well, one of the reasons we went with 45 days is that I found in the past that the 15-day sprints were a little bit too tight. People started to feel like they were falling behind in those sprints. So I thought by spreading it out over a 45-day period, we'll be able to go slow and steady and make the progress that's necessary. Now, one of the cool things that will happen with the program is if you want to accelerate, if you want to choose your own adventure and move a little bit faster, you can either take advantage of the coaching call to do that or use the asynchronous course that's built in. And then the weekly office hours can be used as kind of a support mechanism or support structure for the work that you're doing. I'm checking a couple of notes just to make sure I've got all of the things that we've agreed. Jen and I agreed we're going to include in this 45-day sprint. The 45-day sprint is going to be two cohorts: business plan and individual performance plan. We'll create focus through clarity. We are going to include the weekly office hours. I'm going to test daily shorts. As you know, I'm doing a much more or doing more on video. I'm going to test the daily shorts process to see if how that helps with kind of reinforcing the work that we're working on. We'll interact inside Kajabi. There will be the 45-minute coaching session, and then you'll also have access to the game plan course. So let's talk a little bit about challenges that exist out in the marketplace when it comes to strategic planning for next year. And strategic planning works both for individuals and businesses. One of the challenges is we just push it off. We're at this time of year where it's so important to get things done that we just push our planning process off and take advantage of that period during the holiday period. Well, so this approach can create a high level of anxiety. It's this weight that we've got out there that we know we need to get to, but for whatever reason, we push off until there's a better time because we've got so many things that we're focusing on right now just to wrap up the year or as we get closer to the holiday period. Along with that anxiety, our confidence starts to get tested. And the reason our confidence get tested is because many times we go through the process of doing this work and not see the work working. So we keep doing the same work over and over and over again. And what we do with that, we end up creating really big ruts for ourselves. And those ruts don't need to exist. It's okay to say no to work. And when you have a strategies that are aligned with the objective that you're looking to accomplish and your work aligns with the strategy, it becomes much easier. It's still hard. Becomes much simpler to be able to say no. You've got the background data, being able to say no. This is where the metrics piece in the game plan really comes and plays an awesome role. Sometimes we think that we're doing all of the things that we said we're going to do, and then the reality is we may or may not be honest with ourselves. Give you a really good example. My travel schedule has gone up recently, and I'm really excited about being out in Vegas later this week at DevLearn. I'm speaking on two occasions, as you know, based on the game plan I shared last year. One of the things I was focused on in 2024 or 2023 was to amplify the type of speaking that I'm doing out in the marketplace. And in 2024, there's a stronger shift or a big shift toward paid speaking. And we're well on that path with a couple of opportunities that are out there. Well, when looking at my data, one of the things that I'm not doing a very good job on is direct outreach to people who are inside my ICP. I'm leaning more on referrals. Why? Because referrals have historically worked really well for me. But if I go back in and I look at my strategy and tactics document, my game plan specifically for speaking, I've dropped the ball on the direct outreach. So I need to amplify that. It's not that direct outreach doesn't work, it's that I'm not doing the work. Now, let's say that I was doing all of that direct outreach and I still wasn't making the kind of progress that I need, then it becomes time to go ahead and fire that work. So, two cohorts, one for people who are looking at building out their business, and the other one who are really more focused on self. How do I accomplish the things personally that I want to accomplish as we go into next year? And one of the things that continues to stay on my list of things to get done, and some of this is a little bit of body dysmorphia, but it's get in better shape, get in better shape. Specifically, well, I'll give you the numbers. Specifically, get down to 195 pounds at 14% body fat. Why are those numbers important to me? It's been a while since I've been under 200 pounds, and I'm at that age where getting down to 14% body fat is a little bit tougher. So we'll see what that feels like and what that looks like. Now, at the same time, I got some feedback from people I saw, last week who said, "Wow, I would love to you." You take care of yourself. I'd love to be in the shape that you're in. So there's a little bit of body dysmorphia that comes into it. And so there are these things that you run into, these kind of demons that sit in the back of your head that many times will get in the way of achieving your goals. And it's important for us at an individual level to identify what those demons are, what are those challenges are, what are the triggers that get us into situations where we don't perform at the level that we want to, and how do we build systems and processes to help avoid those? How do we create better accountability around those systems? So this works both for individuals and it works for businesses. The cool thing about the business side, if that's the angle that you're looking at, is when you start to when you get forced with this question. And Phil Crawford asked this question when he and I were driving around Austin at the Sales Success Summit last week. He said, "Do you use a virtual assistant, and what would you outsource?" And I don't use a virtual assistant. I've done some work with Jen where has taken on some of those things, and she did some work with Chelsea to get better at the VA stuff. But I don't have enough of the things that I do on a daily basis that are repeated over and over again, where they're documented in a way where I could share that with someone and they could actually amplify the work that I'm doing by being able to take a component of that away. So that's why I don't use a virtual assistant. If I had better documentation, I might be in a position where I could find some areas where I could outsource some of that work to a virtual assistant. And one of my goals for 2024 as we continue to evolve the business is be much more deliberate in the way that we document the systems and processes inside our own business. It's kind of the shoe cobbler's kids scenario for us. Do a lot of this documentation for clients and then haven't find out that I haven't done the same thing inside our business. So that's one of the goals that we're going to work on. And the reason why the business side and the individual side are slightly different is there are going to be some tools that we'll talk about on the business side that may or may not apply on the individual side, and some context around working with others that may or may not apply on the individual side. If you're struggling with deciding which one to go with, just send me a note, send me a direct message, comment in the comments here. You know how to get a hold of us at findmycatalyst.com, and we'll guide you to the right area. This is going to be a cool test. We'll see what it's like when we do one that's focused specifically on individuals and another one that's focused specifically on those who are operating in a business environment. And this will kick off the first week of November, kicks off the 1st of November. It runs through the 15th of December. All of the information will be recorded other than the weekly office hours. The office hours we're not going to record primarily because there's going to be some pretty deep conversations that we get into that may or may not make sense to share with others. Uh, the 45-minute coaching session can happen at any point during that period of time, and the pricing on this actually aligns with how we have the coaching session set up. So if you're thinking about coaching, jump into this game plan cohort, either the individual or business, and you'll get that included with the program. I want to help people get away from this feeling of lack of control, feeling of less than, feeling of scared about the future by helping with the systems and processes that we've put together specifically around the game plan to help create clarity and focus. When you identify your goals, you define your strategy around those goals, the actions that you'll take. You layer in metrics, that daily and weekly accountability from a checklist perspective, and you build out your sprints, whether they're 2 week sprints, 45-day sprints, 90-day sprints. You build out your sprints. And really, if we're thinking about it, the 90-day sprint is really a combination of 6 2 week sprints built inside. When you do that, we'll drive forward with execution. And at a minimum, we'll address that confidence and unknowing piece because we'll have the data to support the work that we're working through. So I hope to see you in the game plan cohort this year. Again, if you have questions, let Jen and I know what those questions are, and we're happy to guide you in the right way. The shift that will happen, transformation that will happen as part of this program, I guarantee that you will have a higher level of clarity around what you're aiming toward, how you're going to get there, and the actions or the tasks, the daily or weekly work that will help get you there. So that at a minimum, you know whether or not the work is the right work for you, and whether or not the goal is the right goal, or the goals are the right goal for you. And coming out of this, you will have a system that you can use over and over again to accomplish anything you want. And when you teach others how to use the system, you help enable others to use the system, you'll help them get on the path to accomplishing what they want. I hope to see you in this year's game plan cohort. Again, it kicks off first week of November. Everything will be recorded. There'll be daily videos. The office hours will not be recorded, and those office hours will be separate for both of the individual groups. If for whatever reason we find that we need to do two separate office hours for each group, so a total of 4 office hours over the course of the week, we'll do that as well. It'll really be me turning the camera on, turning the microphone, and saying hello to people when they join in on the conversation. If you know of somebody who would benefit from this episode, or benefit from this plan, share the link with them. Let me know via LinkedIn or Twitter. Sales is a thinking process. Business is a thinking process. Life is a thinking process. How are you thinking differently about your process? And where are you going to find your catalyst and start doing the work that you were meant to do? Start working through the tough problems that you're struggling with solving. Thank you.